Okay, everybody, this morning, all politicians. I'm running for president 2024. I know I said I was going to do 112, but I'll just finish up 111. This will be 111D. Talking about war and unity and all these types of things. So we know, like, against people like Hitler and everything, you know, sometimes it's necessary. Both the Bible, the Quran, I'm sure all scriptures talk about, even in a little bit of Krishna. I read, sorry, I can't pronounce the book on what it was, but he's more or less talking to someone who is going to, is debating whether he should fight against his own people or another people or something. But anyhow, you know, like it says in the Quran, if God didn't use certain forces to put down other forces, the whole world, you know, would end up in corruption. So, looking at our humanity and everything, and like war, like the Ozzy Osbourne song, Crazy Train. Millions of people living as foes. Maybe it's not too late to learn how to love and forget how to hate, etc. like that. You look at, you know, go back during the Vietnam times, you know, in songs like, you know, best version to me is by Bruce Springsteen. You know, war. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Say it again. You know, I'm not gonna try and sing it, but anyhow, you cannot look at the villagers, you know, and the farmers and stuff of Vietnam and the horrific pictures from Vietnam of what people went through and say that they're any different than the horror. You know, you feel for those people just the same as you look at people in the concentration camps. There's no way you can look at those camps, you know, that Hitler's henchmen set up and everything. You can't, if you look at that and you don't have a sense of humanity, a sadness and heartbreak of what happened to those people and stuff, then you really need to reassess yourself, your humanity. I know there's a lot of people hate the Jews, and I know they're not above doing wrong either. I know that there's a lot of wrong things that have happened in Palestine. By the same token, you cannot blame Jews for the way they've been treated around the world of wanting their own nation. And for the most part, they're tolerant and accepting of other people and other races. I'm sure they have their own internal problems also. But like with war and stuff and everything, when Bush used 9/11 to go after Iraq, and I was like, them people didn't have nothing to do with this. You know, even Saddam didn't have nothing to do with this. But then behind the scenes, I mean, I know there's a lot, and I believe there's a lot that goes into that Cheney plan for the new American century, total dominance, this and that and everything goes into that, the neocon things and stuff. But hey, who knows? Maybe even Iran said to Bush, you know what? This guy's not going to stop. He's just going to attack somebody else. You know what? You might be able to get rid of him. Maybe the Saudis did. Maybe other neighbors did. Maybe people in Iraq themselves. I'm sure a lot of the Shia did. Probably, you know, get rid of this guy. What have you. Maybe there was a lot of pressure on Bush to do something about Saddam. Others say he's just trying to outstage his daddy. Others say it was really Cheney running the show and his neocon buddies, what have you. But in the end, you know, a lot of Iraqi civilians suffered, and they didn't have anything to do with it. And then, you know, destroying Saddam and that allowed ISIS to flourish and everything. So when Trump they accuse Trump of buddying up to dictators and stuff. Let's number one, remember the CIA put Saddam Hussein into power. You understand that? So Trump wasn't around, having nothing to do with that. Joe Biden was in government during that. So like I say, these politicians, it's like an infomercial. They're trying to sell. It's hocus pocus. Look over here. Don't look over there. Don't think for yourselves. Just, I'm saying dig into it. And so Trump tried to make the point during the debate, hey, world leaders have to get along. They have to communicate. If we're going to get anywhere globally as the human race, there has to be communication. And, so I got to take Trump at his word that, he's not going to play into the hands of war hawks and get us involved in things and all this type of stuff. And send our sons and daughters into useless wars for the gain of oil companies or what have you, or for other nations' political whims and stuff. And you look at NATO, and we've had troops and everything there 70 years, more than 70 years, 80 years now. Well, 75. The war ended 44, 45. So, but it's not pre-World War II. The biggest threat they keep saying is Russia. I don't think Putin has any grand designs. To me, it doesn't appear he would be that stupid to think, I'm going to spend all this money and all these lives and I'm going to try and take territory in Europe, when he knows Europe has standing armies of its own now. They have modern technology. They have, nuclear weapons. I don't think Putin's that stupid to think, like retaking Poland and all these other countries and stuff. Ukraine and all that's got to be worked out for sure. Russia's going to have to, at some point, these people want to be their own nation. They don't want to be part of Russia. Leave them be. And I think if NATO did back off some, they wouldn't be so worried about what Ukraine did. My personal opinion. And what we spend over there, it's based off of our gross national product, I believe, the percentage and stuff. Well, our GNP is, probably more than all of Europe combined and stuff. So we're still, even if you get the other nations to pay more, we're still paying more for their defense over there than we should be. And if we're gonna have money to move forward with making life better for people here and around the world and stuff, some of these military budgets got to be cut. And we don't need stockpiles of 10,000 nuclear warheads. We don't need them. Russia don't need them. Korea don't need them. Nobody needs them. These huge friggin' arsenals of nuclear. Some people say, well, that deters war altogether. Well, if we all admit that we're thinking sentient beings, and then a lot of us who would admit, we're divinely inspired, created by God beings, we should be able to communicate with each other and work things out. We tell kids all the time, violence ain't the right way and acting up ain't the right way and this and that and everything. But when it comes to being grown men and women, we can't sit down on a table and work things out rationally, peacefully, make deals. there's always going to be a hothead. I mean, even if you try to make peace between countries in Africa or something, there's always going to be a hothead that jumps up and says, well, this guy's weak and whatever, and want to take over the country and continue the war or whatever it is. And that's where the UN has to be more vocal. So, as far as foreign policy goes and stuff, I think to a certain degree, Trump has done a pretty good job of making it clear. We're not gonna be pushed around, but we're not gonna push around either. We're not going to get involved in all these conflicts and stuff. So anyway, that's before when I was younger and stuff, and like with a lot of people, coming up, I came up in the 70s after the you had the hippie movement and all that and everything, and the anti-war stuff, and so there was still a lot of that around, and a lot of that in the music and culture and stuff. So in my younger days, I was like, yeah, anti-war, more laid back views on things and this and that. And then you get older and you get especially when I became a Christian, you get these preachers, God's a God of war in this country and this and that, and you get that drummed into you, and can kind of skew your view. And the same thing happened. How you can look at religion, you can look at Islam. There's a lot of people who see it as the path to peace and tolerance and doing good deeds, and then there are those who think it's for them to take over, like ISIS and etc. like that. So same things happened in Christianity, same things happened in every form of government. The thing is, we have to realize that, look forward, look towards the future. We don't have to have a homogenized population around the world where everything and everybody's the same, all the architecture is the same, etc. We don't have to have that. You can still keep your cultural identity, just be a better human being, I believe, is what the cause of God is in the unity of humanity. And then you'll be able to see what's written in Isaiah come true. They will beat their weapons of war into plowshares, and man will learn war no more. We get rid of the animosity, the hatred, the empire building greed, and those types of things. Eventually down the line, hopefully there's still time, and so whether you believe or not, say a prayer for humanity, for God's help, for us to all find the path, to find the way. No one's saying America has to give up its sovereignty, or any other country has to give up its sovereignty. Just how we all deal with each other around the world has got to change. We have to all be willing to work with each other, trust each other to some extent, be on guard against those who would be like Hitler or some other kind of tyrant and raise up and say, no, we're the ones going to rule the world, etc. So, and those are my views on those types of things. I'll get into the AI, even though I said that was going to be a different thing. So, got a when you look at computers and stuff, and to me it's amazing. You look at circuit boards and things like this, and even transistors and stuff, and it's like, it's a little piece of plastic with wire coming out. Where's all that information? How does this thing work? How's it do all this? And I know the technical things, and I know the ones and the O's and this and that, and how they cram information and all this stuff and everything. But let's suppose, even though in all our great wisdom and our great scientific and our great invention and everything, that really none of that stuff works. It's just that God makes it work. Right? I mean, to me, he can make a rock work like a computer and have all, and you'd be like, oh, how's this do this? And somebody say, well, it's the current going through this quartz and this, piece of rock and this and that, and I'm sure somehow, some way, things. But I'm just getting at that God is all powerful. He works in mysterious ways. There are a lot of things we attribute to ourselves who might not be coming from ourselves, whether it's a song we write, a thought we have, scientific equations, whatever it is. Whether you believe in God or not, I mean, coming from my perspective, he's there, and whether you believe in him or not, he can do things through you, and affect the world around you. You always hear Mother Nature, this and that. Maybe he put nature on an autopilot thing, and maybe, like I believe in some cases, has a more direct hand in it. And for whatever reason, sometimes bad things like bad storms or whatever have to happen, or what have you. I know that really is getting old. I think science plays more of a part into explaining all that, because that's kind of going backwards, like, oh, the volcanoes erupt and God is angry type thing. And, so I think this stage in, humanity, we should be well beyond attributing, it's like people used to see comets and that was a bad omen, this and that, those types of things. So maybe I still got a little of that old stuff, wrath of God. But he does interact with his creation. And so suppose you get this AI going and stuff, and all of a sudden, and you get all the robotics going and stuff. Well, here's what I think anyway. We'll eventually, and they're working on this type of thing. You're not going to carry your smartphone around with you anymore. It's either going to be implanted on the side of your head, or it's going to be in your head. You'll be able to talk to people without talking. You'll think what you want to say to them. It'll go through the chip in your head, transmit to the chip in their head, what have you. Now, to me, I can do without that stuff, but I could actually see sometime in the future that being no big deal to future generations, and a modern society. And it's like now, you look at something once on the internet or something, or mention it, and all of a sudden, boom, here's the ads for this, whatever you were interested in or whatever. You got Alexis and all this type of stuff now. That was messing with people's minds because it was listening to their conversations, and all of a sudden, they're getting ads or commercials or whatever for things that they were talking about in private conversation. And I'll tell you what, if you're home enough, and during this COVID, I'm sure many people were, I know this kind of freaked me out. When I was home, I had torn my rotator cuff and was off for 8 months. But and I don't even have cable, so it's just off the airwaves type thing, TV. And and wake up with a stiff back or something, or my arm, just something, not feeling good a certain way, and you turn on the TV, boom, and there's a commercial. Hey, are these your symptoms? Blah blah blah. It's like you gotta scratch your head. Whoa, wait a minute. And there's a lot of people who get suckered into a lot of these things, and I don't know, they could probably, if you've ever used your TV for Netflix or anything like that or anything, I'm sure every TV has a certain code to it or whatever, and I'm sure even just over the airwaves, just like they can with Wi-Fi, you don't have to be hooked to a cable. I'm sure over the airwaves, if you've used your TV through Wi-Fi or cable or what have you as a computer, to watch Netflix or any other type of thing you could get through like an internet service, that information, that you looked into or whatever you watched with certain things that had to do with or whatever, goes off into that great data bank out there that everybody skims through and stuff. And so then even when you're disconnected through the airwaves, they could send a certain commercial to your television. So who knows, maybe we could both, the guy across the hall from me in his apartment, we're both watching football on Sunday, but when the commercials come on through the airwaves, they send him a commercial for some kind of crap he was looking at, and he's not hooked to cable either, and they send me a different commercial for some kind of crap I was looking at. It's possible. And so when you get into those types of things and everything, you can kind of pretty much almost fool somebody as they're being guided by a divine guidance, or something, or some powers interact, and I'm sure there was a lot of people who were freaking out because, whatever they were talking about or whatever Alexis picked up on, and then all of a sudden they're having these types of, products or whatever, or commercials, hawked at them, or like something's, oh, your foot's hurting and this and that and everything. All of a sudden they get a commercial for somebody selling certain types of socks or something. Hey, and they never Googled it or anything like that. It's just Alexa picked up on it. That could be kind of freaky. So when they get this AI going and stuff, and maybe the chip in your head and all this and everything, maybe this AI is so revolutionary it changes life, makes life on Earth like a utopia type thing. So let's see. There's two ways you could have an outcome. You could even make a movie out of this type of thing. One, God takes over the AI. So people who would reject the idea of God or religion, he just does it subvertly. He takes over the AI. Everyone thinks it's the AI and these computers and stuff making things so great and leading humanity this way or that way. Everyone's into it. There's world peace. They're following this. Hey, it's the AI. It's technology. When really God took over the AI and it's him doing it subvertly. His will be done whether you're aware of it or not. So that's one way. The other way is, we get this utopia going with this AI and everything, and things, new doors. The future is unimaginable. Things are all this and everything, and then the next, and people, kind of begin to look at this AI as a God type thing and stuff, and then the next messenger comes and says, you know what, you're all living in a fantasy world, and I have a message from God, and it's antithetical to this utopian world, etc., stuff like that. I kind of think it would go the other way. God just, if everyone's into, hey, we're not going to have religion anymore, this and that, and we're going to go full bore technology and AI, and we're going to let computers run the show and this and that and everything. God just takes over the computer. He exists whether you acknowledge him or not, or whether I acknowledge him or not, is the way I look at it. And all believers, no matter what religion you are, he exists whether you acknowledge him or not. So why couldn't he just take things over? How do we know he hasn't taken over a lot of things right now? Inspirationally, I can look at a lot of music by a lot of people you would think, or who you are taught are ungodly people, etc., like this and that. Maybe they have spots of humanity. Maybe they got better hearts than we have, and what you see about them or hear about them is just a bunch of guff anyway, a bunch of lies. So Maybe Ozzy writes Crazy Train. God put the notion and the words in there for him to write that. Who knows? War Pigs, Kashmir, Stairway to Heaven, plenty of other songs I'm sure you could look at who talk about, you know, our humanity, and plenty of books written down through the ages, plays, etc., like that, spiritual meanings in them. And maybe the person who did them at the time, that wasn't even close to what they were shooting for. So anyhow, I'll leave you all that to ponder. And there's one thing about this job is you have a lot of time to think about things, and that was just one of the things that came to my mind. You know, people talk about AI, and I know there's people out there, oh, the New World Order, they're scared. Now, it's not impossible that there's an evil world order trying to be set up. At the same time, God is trying to set up his world order, you know, of peace and of humanity, and us seeing that we're all leaves of the same tree. So it is possible that there's some nefarious people out there trying to set up some nefarious type of world order that's only going to suit them, keep them their elitist status quo and this and that, and enslave the rest of us to lives of misery and stuff. I have no doubt that that's also not possible to be going on in this dualistic world we live in. But the cause of God is, you will find in the Baha'i faith. And like I said, I'm not a representative. I'm not a perfect person. I know I speak very gruff sometimes, and you know, under pressure, you know, I had, you know, can't say I've always been the most peace-loving person. I shouldn't say it that way. I don't go looking for trouble, but, you know, I'm not afraid to let my opinion be known, or to raise my voice, and maybe I do it too much here and there. I'm sure there's people I've run into out here on the road who wish they had not run into me or had not stepped on my toe, to put it that way. But I am a pretty patient, tolerant person. It usually takes a lot to set me off. So, but sometimes being out here, hey, it gets to you. Things wear on you. Whatever, you're not in a good mood. Somebody says or does the wrong thing, and you blow a fuse here and there. It happens to everybody. So, but anyhow, there are plenty of good people, if you look on YouTube or the internet, of the Baha'i faith, teaching about the faith, who are much more well-spoken and more educated than I am. And if you're interested, I suggest you look into that, no matter what your religion is, or your race, or background and all this, and look towards the future. And ask yourself, even if not on the religious plane or within the Baha'i faith, what do you foresee the future of humanity to be, of the earth? A lot of people too busy with their lives. I understand it. Times I've been too busy, get caught up. I've even caught up in materialism. Well, this is, when I went from being, life of the party, run around guy, sex, drugs, rock and roll type stuff, to being a Christian. And it was like, also, well, now you do the house thing, now you do the credit, now you do this, and all of a sudden, and because they tell you that's a success, God wants you to succeed and have all these things and this and that and everything, and then the next thing you know, you are totally lost all over again. So it's a confusing world. And the only place you have to keep seeking, you have to keep moving forward, you have to keep asking God, and to find that path. And hopefully we all will. God bless you all. Wish you all the best out there. Be safe here on the roads. We don't all have to swap spit and act sing Kumbaya and be meek little kittens running around or something like that all the time, and everybody always gets a trophy type. But we do have to treat each other with respect and tolerance and just humanity. Just be a good person. It seems to me the most division comes when constantly in the news media they're constantly bringing up race. It sets people off either one way or the other. Shut up for a while. Can't we just go on with our lives? Just be, people get too glued to their TVs and watching the stuff over and over again, and that's all on their mind. I can tell listening to people on the CB, whether they just listen to 3 hours of Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, or NBC, or CNN, or whoever. It's by the arguments, and they're going on, and it's they get so passionate about it, and you get a lot of division. Bad stuff happens to everybody. So if you're African American, you've had some bad, negative, racist crap happen to you, guess what? It's happened to me too. I'm white. Like we say, shit happens. Brush it off, water off a duck's back, move on. All right, wish you all the best out there. God bless.